Hello, my friends. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. It is Carrie with Coffee and Crafts, and I thought today we would do something a little different. Not too different. We're still enjoying our delicious cup of coffee. So good. Still good. So, I thought we would talk about plastic covers and transfer paper. So, I want to start a new painting. This guy, and I wouldn't call him a little guy. He's from my favorite company, Diamond Art Love, and I like this company because you can customize the painting that you order. You can request a certain size, and whether it's square or round drills, if that matters to you, and if it has AB. AB is Aurora Borealis. It's the little glass, shiny, bling drills that you get. So this one is 30 by 40 centimeters. I would not call it a little guy. It is, I believe, 16 by 20. And it has 30 colors. And I've been wanting to do it. I love hummingbirds. And it has a lot of pretty colors. The downside is it has a black background. So there's a lot of 310, but that's okay, we'll get through it. But I thought, you know, I'd like to do release paper with this. So why not share it with you guys? Oh, the other thing is too, the canvas is better quality than what you would find on Amazon, Temu, some of these smaller companies. This is more like a cloth, and it has a kind of a glittery shine to it. It's really pretty and feels really nice. So this is prepping the canvas. We've prepped beads, now we're prepping canvases. All right, so let's talk washi. Let's talk washi. So some people use washi tape. So what is washi tape? We'll mention it. We're not gonna talk about it too much, but this is my supply of washi tape. It's small compared to others, but it's just this tape that you can put on the canvas to section it off underneath your plastic cover, or underneath washi. You can tape your release paper down with it. So that's all it is. It's just tape that covers up and sections off your painting, so it's not as overwhelming. I don't feel like that's necessary. You can, and maybe that would be another video, but today we're talking about release paper. So what is release paper? Release paper, have you ever bought a sheet of stickers and the back of the sticker has like this plastic backing that you throw away? That's what release paper is. So if you don't want to spend any money, if you don't want to be a craft snob like me, you could save your backing to your sticker paper and cut that and use that. And so it just goes over you peel the plastic cover that it comes with, and you place these sheets of paper over the top, and then you have little pieces of paper that you peel off. You work on a certain area and you work through it that way instead of one giant cover. So that sounds a lot less overwhelming to me. So I'm going to show you how I do that. We're going to do that today. But first, I have a couple of brands that I've purchased. One has this hot mess here, and I kind of like the idea of this. I've never used this kind. We're going to try it. But it's super thin. You can see through it. You could still see your painting, but still have it covered. Another brand that's very popular is, and I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, but it's called Store Or. And it's this right here, star ore, something like that. And it is very much like sticker paper that you would find on the backing of a sticker sheet, but it's glossy on both sides, so it's reusable, and it sticks on. So, and we're going to demonstrate that. So, just kind of introducing you to the idea. So I am the kind of painter that does not have big blocks of time. So what you can do with any release paper is you can take your Fiskars cutter or whatever cutting, or even just scissors, and you can cut these down to the size that you like. So these are about a 4x6. That's not bad. But I usually unwind with my diamond painting, so I don't necessarily have big blocks of time at one time, but I do a little bit every day. Okay, so I'm thinking if we cut this in half, that would be about the right size for me. So let's go ahead and cut some of those. I'm not sure how many I need. So let's get to cutting. Okay, I have about 24 of those. I think that will be enough. We'll see. All right, how do we do this? So we're basically going to lay them down, peel the cover back and lay them down, and you want to overlap them. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I know what you're saying. If you're like me, what about my OCD? I'm gonna want that to be perfect, and it's gonna take me forever to line that up just right. You're right, it would. So we have to let go of our OCD-ness a little bit. This cover is not on here perfectly. It's just overlapped and covering the glue that's on the canvas. So we don't need to fret too much. Even if it's not lined up with a particular square, we're just gonna paint what's available underneath. So if we overlap, it should be fine. All right, so the other thing to keep in mind is, what direction do you like to paint? Some people like to start on the left side and work their way over. Some people like to work on the left and work their way up. Or, you know, so you're either starting at the top or the bottom, or left to right, or right to left. So what kind of diamond painter are you? I usually start at this lower left corner because I have a bad shoulder, and I do have a little bit of shakiness, not too bad. But I like to paint close to me. Like, I don't like to reach. But I was thinking that if I were to start on the right-hand side, then I wouldn't be fighting the stickiness. I would have drills over it if I section off. So we're going to start our painting in the right lower corner. Now, if this painting was huge and it was something that maybe I would have to let hang over the edge in my lap or over the edge of the table, then I would probably want to start at the top, and you would kind of scoot the painting towards you and have it hang off the edge, and then you would start at the top. But this one is on the table, so we're going to start in this lower left corner. So the thing to remember with diamond painting is, or with release paper, is since we're going to do an overlap of papers, you want to start at the opposite of where you want to start your painting. You want to put your release paper, start your release paper the opposite of how you're going to diamond paint. What do I mean by that? Okay, so I want to start on the right and work my way left. So that means I'm going to start on the left side to put my release paper down. And I'm going to start at the top because I want to start diamond painting at the bottom. So it's the opposite of where you want to end up, because you're going to be overlapping on top of each paper as you go. So that'll make more sense as we do it. So let's just set these aside here. And so the first one is going to be right here. So how do we do this? It feels a little awkward, and you just kind of have to let go of your perfection a bit, but you're gonna want a little bit of overlap over the edge, and as we add more, have a little overlap over here. And then if it's not perfectly lined up with the squares, who cares? You're gonna be able to work it out. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. We're going to, it's very scary. This is probably the hardest part, is we're gonna peel back. Some people just rip this off, but we're just gonna peel this back a little bit at a time. And peel it like, that's plenty right there. So, and since it's sticky, it's gonna be a little bit, you're gonna have to kind of, you can try to line, you want it to kind of be lined up with the squares. You don't want it to be like wonky like that. But we're gonna make sure there's an overlap on top and on the side, and then I've picked a line here. So we're just gonna cover it up like that. Now this paper is thin, so you can see underneath, and you can kind of tell, okay, did I screw up? That looks pretty good to me. I mean, is it perfect? No. Is it protecting it? Yes. Can I peel it up and it not peel the glue up? Yes. Okay, so let's go to the next one. And we're gonna overlap. See, I'm overlapping probably a couple. I want to overlap probably a couple rows worth, 2 or 3 rows. Just to make sure that we encompass that in-between area. All right, it's going pretty good so far. All right, and we're gonna line up, have it overlap. I'm overlapping about 3 columns, and then it's overlapped at the top too. So yeah, I thought this would be harder, but when I first started doing this, but this is going okay. So I'm just kind of only worrying about lining up this edge here at the bottom. And if it's not perfect, it's okay because of the overlap. So being OCD, you can do this. I believe in you. Now, some people you get creative with what they can use. I've heard that some people use parchment paper, but I've also heard that it doesn't stick, like it's a one-time stick and it falls off and curls, so I don't really recommend that. All right, this is landing pretty nicely. So I have a little bit of overlap on the right, and I've got 3 rows or columns overlapped in between. Okay, we made it through our first row. All right, so we're gonna peel this back a little more, and we're gonna do the second column. So we're going over the top of this way, and we're going over and then we're starting a new row. So if we're overlapping on top of this, we're gonna end up starting down here. So you just want to make sure you've got a few rows, so don't go down too low. And you have the first columns to kind of give yourself a, oh, see, I wasn't happy with it. So trying to use what I did before as kind of a guide, and then that's a pretty big overlap. I could probably drop it down a little bit more. But if you use more release paper, who cares? So, though I kind of want to match it because it lined up well. So, let's see, let's try this again. So, and you can kind of visualize, okay, I'm going to pick that square to line up with. And is that perfect? No. But it's pretty close to where I want it to be. And it'll be okay. With the overlap, it makes it okay to not be perfect. All right. So that starts us off on the first row. And then it lifts up pretty easily, so you don't have to worry about it being permanent. All right, so I think I'm right at that little T. I need to land right there. And I'm being picky, too picky really. And then just roughly try to line up with the grid. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And if you're not happy with it, you can lift it up and try again because it's reusable. All right, I need to take a little break. Alex, touch this and die. Okay, I'm back. All right, took a little sip of coffee. Need some caffeine power. Let's take the next one. But so far, I'm pretty pleased with how it's coming out. I would definitely recommend good lighting. So I'm just kind of picking 3 columns roughly as an overlap. And this one landed nicely. And don't be afraid to turn it. If you need to turn it to get an angle. Like my plastic came back down, so it's not going to hurt anything. How many times do we rip these up off and back on again during a painting session? All right, don't be afraid to turn it. So I'm lining it up roughly where I had the first row. That's a little high. So now I have my target. Is that you? I'm keeping my eye on. And is it perfect? No. But I've got it roughly lined up with the grid. It's fairly straight. Try not to touch the sticky like I just did. All right. Break time again. Let's go sit down. All right, I'm back. Okay, so we're gonna take the next release paper, and we're just looking to see where did I line it up before. And the reason I care about that, I wouldn't normally, but this landed really nicely. This landed with a whole sheet, and so I want to duplicate that. So I know that this column is about where I want it. And if you're not happy, that's pretty good. But if you're not happy, you can lift it up and do it again. And so it's lined up. That's a little wonky. Is it okay? Yeah, it's okay. Am I happy? No. So let's try it one more time. So you want to have a little bit of overlap in both directions. Okay, that's too high. So I'm just looking at the grid to try to line it up. Okay, that's pretty close. It's not overlapping like I would like. I think it's a little low. And these sheets don't cut perfectly, so it's not gonna be. That's not bad. So I've got an overlap on both. Is it perfect? No. But it's got a little bit of an overlap on each side. It'll be fine. All right, the next one. I recommend that where you're working that it's close to you. It's a little easier to see what you're doing and probably have less glare. So I'm just looking at where that grid landed last time. We're actually over here, and then I'm overlapping on top. I'm looking at the grid. That's up a little high. Line it up with the grid. There. And then if you have a bubble like this, don't stress about it. You're never going to get that bubble out. I mean, I did kind of, but yeah, that doesn't look too bad. All right, let's do the next one. This next one is right on the edge, so it's kind of hard to kind of going the other direction. Making sure I have that overlap. It's a little wonky. So there. And it isn't perfect. Not even close. Well, it's close, but not perfect. So it's a little bit above that grid, but it's okay because there's an overlap. All right. And I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but if you're OCD, you need to hear it over and over again. All right, let's take our cover off, which is pretty scary. toes. Don't throw it away just yet. Make sure we're happy. All right, new row, sip of coffee. All right, so I'm gonna turn this so that it's closer to me. You guys see that? Yeah. And then we're not gonna land nicely this way. So I think instead of having a strip, a little strip at the bottom, I'm gonna overlap big time and just pick kind of halfway. I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and count. Some people do, but you know, what's half? About kind of, we'll pick the middle of 814, and we're gonna overlap a little bit. We're still trying to line it up this way because that worked out nicely. And then just about halfway. It's harder for me to look from the far side. But you just have to pick a row and line it up with that. And I could cut these in half, but there's no, I don't think there's any point to that. And save it, you could, but these are so cheap. I bought 300 for $10. So you do the math. All right, so we're gonna line up here. And I find it easier to place the closest side to me down first. And then if it's not lined up with that grid exactly, I think it'll be fine. I think since you have an overlap, you end up working around those. And this is just to cover up the glue. You can peel these off if they're in your way. Is that debris or is that part of the painting? Yeah, that's a little piece of glue. I don't have my tweezers near me. I just took my fingernail and yeah. There's just a little bit of extra glue there. So not a big deal. We can get that later. All right. So we'll do this again. So matching the previous overlap. And lining it up. Okay, I'm gonna flip it around. Now obviously if it's huge, it's gonna be harder to flip around, but we'll deal with that when we come to it. All right, so it's a little harder to see from this direction. And this is a very dark painting, so that makes it more difficult too. So something to think about when you're picking out your paintings, if it's really dark, sometimes it can be a challenge. So once I see my corner where I want to go, then it's easier to line it up just looking at that corner square. Okay. Oh no, I turned that one. Let's fix that. It doesn't really matter, and I could have maybe gone that way and had less waste, but it's okay. It's okay. So we're shooting for that square, I think. It's a little crooked, but now I have my eyes on the square that we're lining up with, the corner square. Okay. Yeah, I could have saved some by turning it, but oh well. That's part of my OCD. I like everything to be in the same direction. So we're just overlapping a couple on each side, lining that up. All right, we got one more row to go. So since we're here, oh, now we want to start from the right side, remember? So we need to be careful about this. We want to start over here. So we want to keep with our same plan. And we can do a big overlap because we've got extra in this direction. It's actually right here. Overlap. The biggest thing is that you have an overlap both directions. That just barely has an overlap because I took too much here. So let's back it up. I lined this up in the wrong spot, so I was looking at the edge, not the overlap. Just have it kind of lined up, somewhat lined up with the grip. That's better. And then got a little bit of a glare, so if that happens, kind of change the angle of your head. I don't want it down that low. You don't want it off the canvas. So this isn't meant to be a quick exercise. So don't be afraid to slow down and do a good job. All right, since we're at this last column, we're just naturally going to have an overlap. I do like that these are thin and you can still kind of see the painting. Not as well as before, but kind of like you get to be surprised again. The revealing of each section as you finish it. Do you guys hear that? Alex wants me to feed him. Is that your meow? Hmm? Is this a bird? Don't knock my lamp down. No. I hope you guys are enjoying the pictures I've been including at the end of the video of Alex. Okay, so we have our last one. Can you believe it? And then this one, you don't really have to line up at all, because that's the one you're going to be working on first. All right, so we did it. We covered it. It's all covered, nothing is sticking. These are kind of flappy, so especially since we did an extra overlap. I could take my scissors and cut these off, and I might do that. I might take my scissors and just cut that off. You can use a ceramic knife that if you put light pressure, it doesn't cut all the way through. I have one somewhere. I'm not sure where it is. So I'll probably just take some scissors and trim this excess off. But I'm liking it. It looks nice. It came out nice. So how does this work? So when you're ready to start diamond painting, you can peel this off completely, and then just take your pen and start painting, and just do this one little area. And the benefit to this is if you get overwhelmed by it, or maybe you are all, ooh, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there, and you're trying to section it off, this keeps you from doing that. This helps you to just look at this one area. It's less overwhelming, and you less likely to wander. Now another thing you could do is you could have this washi, if that's not small enough for you, or whatever size you're working with. And let's say you're like me and you love to use minders. Well, we've got this minder here. Not really that appropriate with a bird, but you can still use this. So you could peel back, maybe say you only want to look at half. You could peel that back and place your minder. This minder isn't, the magnet's not as strong, but yeah, so you could do that. It doesn't lay down very flat, so I would maybe use a small minder, a really small one. So we'll try that out on the channel when we start painting this guy. And that's pretty much it for release paper. I mean, it's not hard. I do have another brand, the Star Ore that I talked about. I cut them down in these 2x3 pieces. So if we were to use this instead, you could, there's nothing wrong with it. It's shiny on both sides, and you could cover it up with that. But as you can see, I can't see it at all. I can't see the paint at all. I kind of like the idea of being able to see the painting. So either one works fine. And then like you would, this one would be harder to use with a minder because it's stiffer. It's a little stiffer. And what I've heard is that once you use them, like you can't reuse them. That's what I've heard, is that it loses its shininess and they just fall off. All right, so I think we're gonna go with this thinner washi, or thinner release paper. Why do they call it release? Well, you're just releasing it from the canvas. If you have any questions or concerns or comments about release paper and how to do it, please let me know in the comments and I'll address it in my next video. Until then, I hope you liked the video, and if you did, like the video. Give that thumbs up, like, subscribe, comment, all the things, and I'll see you on the flip side.